Nickal is back, man. The last time we saw him, he got folded by RDR, and let's be real, everybody clowned on him. We roasted him because he came in like, I'm the chosen one. I'm about...
If y'all long-time listeners, y'all know I was very concerned. I was like, it's concerning whoever works with Bo agreed to that fight with RDR. I kind of feel the same about this Rodolfo Vieira fight. And I don't like Bo's attitude, so I thought he was humbled after that loss to RDR. And then he came back and proved like, nope, he's not humble, just as smug as ever. So let's go Rodolfo.
Walk through everybody. I'm basically the Jesus of UFC. Okay, he pretty much didn't say any of those words, but he kind of, you know what I mean? He kind of meant those things. Then he touched real competition in RDR, and then he got humbled real fast. And look, that's not even hate. He asked for that smoke, but when the fight went south, all those holes in his game got blasted wide open. Yeah, the kid has really good wrestling, but it got neutralized. But when it came to the striking, the grit, and keeping composure, once he was in trouble, nah, he looked green. Like, back to the lab
really
type green,
bad.
Okay? And honestly, that's probably what he needed. That L might have been the best thing for him if he actually learns from it. And now the UFC is tossing him against Rodolfo Vieira. And this ain't no bounce back freebie, okay? Vieira's not RDR, of course, but he's not also some crash.
I think Rodolfo, after losing to Fluffy, has improved. He's worked on his game. He's gotten a lot better. I think this is a bad matchup. Rodolfo is going to be much better. He should be much better. And if Bo does take it to the ground, I think Rodolfo would welcome those grappling exchanges. He would welcome it. I think this is a terrible fight for Bo.
Test dummy, you could just run through and get your swagger back. This is a legit dude who can make your night ugly really quick. He's got that type of skill set that will test if Bo really is built for this, or if he was just hype all along, okay?
It was hype.
So now we pivot to Rodolfo Vieira. And let's be clear, this ain't no tune-up fight where Bo gets to pad his confidence. Vieira is 11-3. They literally call this man the black belt hunter. That shit's badass, okay? His jiu-jitsu is insane. Nice submission wins. If you hit the mat sloppy with him, you're not scrambling out. You're filling out a tap form, okay? That's just how it goes. Now,
that's what I'm saying. He does not want to take this fight to the ground. Who agreed to this fight? Who's working with this guy? Isn't it like Dustin Poirier and Jorge Masvidal? Isn't it that camp Mike Brown? What is going on over there?
Rainier de Ritter, let's not get it twisted. He hasn't been in there with anyone on Robert Whittaker's level, but he's still a veteran. And what he does best is drag fights into the mud. Just look at his fights with Gore. Vieira stuffed takedowns, pressed forward, threw combinations, and honestly, he outstruck Gore. And say what you want about Gore, but on the feet, he's a way more experienced, way more cleaner striker than Bo right now. Which is kind of like saying that Burger King is cleaner than the gas station hot dog. But hey, it's still true. The stats back it up too. Vieira lands about like 3.3 significant strikes per minute at a 56% accuracy. Not a volume monster, but he's efficient. He takes about 4.4 strikes back. So yeah, he eats shots, but here's the catch. He doesn't fold. You can tag him, and he's still going to be in your face making you work, bro. That's why I call him the worst kind of step-down opponent. On paper, sure, it's a drop-off from RDR, but in reality, he's exactly the guy who can drag Bo into deep waters. He's not flashy, he's not explosive, but he's steady. And
I think he finishes
is dangerous,
Bo.
Especially for someone who hasn't proven they can go that long. If Bo tries to ragdoll him early, there's a chance he could blow his cast tank, or get caught in a submission, or he can neutralize the grappling and it just becomes a striking match with a gritty vet who just showed that he can hang. And that's the nightmare setup for Bo. So yeah, Vieira's not elite on the feet, but he's active. He's tough, and he's confident in the grappling. That combination alone makes this a real test. And here's the thing. I don't even think this fight is going to be some wild grappling showcase. Like, yeah, wrestler versus BJJ black belt sounds like a dream match on paper, but if you look at Bo's last couple of fights, he barely tried to grapple with Paul Craig. That was supposed to be the fight where he showed off his ground dominance, and instead he kept it standing, jabbing a bit.
He saw what happened when Magomed took that nigga down. Why risk it? Why risk it with Paul Craig when that's what Paul wants you to do? Paul wants you to take it to the ground. Why would he do that? You know? Why would he do that? So, he's not an MMA fighter. Bo Nickal is not an MMA fighter, and he's definitely, at that point, not supposed to be in the UFC. He's not an MMA fighter.
Played it safe. If he didn't want to dive into Craig's guard, what makes us think he's going to dive headfirst into Vieira, bro? Vieira lives for that. You leave your neck out for 1 second, that's it. It's Tab City. So, honestly, I think we might see more of a striking than people are expecting. And that's where things get tricky because Vieira just proved that he can hang on the feet against Gore while Bo's still figuring it out. So, if this turns into a stand-up battle, that's the whole different kind of test for Bo. Now, let's flip it over to Bo. Bo's sitting at a record of 7-1. And yeah, we all remember the one. Reinier de Ridder just folded him with those body knees. That fight showed us exactly where he's at. Insane wrestling pedigree, freak athlete, but still super freaking green when it comes to being a complete mixed martial artist. And if you actually look at the numbers, it lines up on what we saw on tape. He only landed about 2.6 significant strikes per minute. That's not much. The good thing is that his accuracy is high. It's around the 60% range. So when he does throw, he connects. He doesn't eat a ton either, under 2 strikes absorbed per minute, which tells you he's not reckless. He's careful, but sometimes being careful is just another word for hesitate. And you can see that in his fight with Paul Craig.
He's kind of jittery.
Yeah, landed him, I think it was like 54 to 47 in significant strikes. Won the decision, but it wasn't dominant. He didn't really have to grapple much, which is crazy because that's supposed to be his bread and butter. It felt like he respected Craig's jiu-jitsu a little too much, and instead, we got a staring contest with some jabs mixed in. That's not exactly the Jesus of the UFC energy he promised us, you know. And then there's the Reinier de Ridder fight, where the fight hit the next level of pressure. Like I mentioned multiple times, Bo folded quickly. Now, to me, it wasn't just about Reinier de Ridder being good. It was about Bo not having any grit yet. Compare that to Whitaker, who took those same knees for 5 rounds and never broke.
Nah. Whitaker was compromised immediately. I felt like he was broke. Like, as soon as, maybe like the first or second knee, like, his expression changed. I felt like Whitaker was in survival mode. Like, at least from the second round on. He was surviving. He was broken. All right. He thought he was going to go in there and dominate this awkward, not that great of a striker, and was overwhelmed with the striking. And then, yeah, he couldn't handle it.
Oh, didn't have that toughness. But here's the thing. He's still a freak wrestler. He lands over 3 takedowns per 15 minutes, about like 50% accuracy. That's honestly solid. If he decides to lean on that and find a way to neutralize Vieira's submission game, that's his path. The question is,
RDR is gigantic too. That dude's huge.
Can he actually do it without getting tired, sloppy, or caught? So where Bo's at right now, he's in that in-between stage. We know he's not just hype, he's got some real skills, but is he developed enough to beat a guy like who's this gritty, you know, a gritty vet like Vieira? Or is he still a guy who crumbles when things get ugly? That's what the fight is going to answer. So when you stack these two up, it's pretty clear what the story is. We're looking at a striking match, and yeah, neither of these guys are Israel Adesanya, but the numbers don't lie. Vieira throws more.
He's going to whip that ass.
3.3 significant strikes per minute. Bo sits at 2.6, and Vieira's accuracy is decent at 56. Bo is actually more accurate at 60%, but his volume is way lower. So it's a battle of output. Vieira might just edge it out by being more busier. Then there's the cardio.
I think he's going to finish
Vieira absorbs a lot of shots over 4 minutes, but he doesn't go away. He can take punishment and keep coming and drag you deep. Bo, on the other hand, we still don't know if he can go through hell and come out the other side. Against Reinier.
All right, I think we've seen all we need to see there. Shout out to MMA Friction for the cool video. Anytime I can get to hate on Bo Nickal, I'll probably take that opportunity, ladies and gents. I think this is another bad matchup for Bo Nickal. I think at this point in his career, he's not an MMA fighter. That's just my opinion as an observer. He's not an MMA fighter, in my opinion. I don't understand. He said he asked to fight RDR, right? He requested that fight. And he got dominated. And I said here to you, ladies and gentlemen, I said, who would allow Bo to take this fight? Why did they let them do this? Like, who's handling this guy? You know what I'm saying? And it's Mike Brown, who's coached Joanna Jacek, former champion, BMF champion Jorge Masvidal. But I felt like allowing him to take that fight against RDR was a little ill-advised, in my opinion, and it looked that way. And now that same team is allowing him to take this fight here. This is a terrible matchup for Bo Nickal. At this point, I don't believe Bo Nickal is an MMA fighter. He has the great wrestling, and he seems to want to do it. He's fighting, but I don't think he's in the proper gym to learn the way he needs to fight. He needs to go to Dagestan for 2 years and forget. That's what he needs to do. You got all this wrestling for what purpose? You're scared to use the wrestling against capable grapplers. What did Islam say when he was about to fight Charles? Well, not even what Islam said. What did Habib say? He said he's going to ride that dude like a horse. He was like, he's not worried about his jiu-jitsu. He's going to take him down and ride him like a horse. And what did he do? Took that boy down, rode him like a horse, and then choked him out. All right? He said it. He was confident in the wrestling. What is the point of Bo Nickal having this wrestling acumen if he is afraid to use it against anyone who has capable jiu-jitsu? What are you here for? Test that wrestling every time. We knew Colby's going to try to get you up against the fence, beat you up. We knew Habib, all these people. We know Hamzat's going to shoot. All right? They're not going to not shoot because you might be prepared for it. But those are my thoughts on that. I believe this might be the last fight of his career, because after he gets finished in here, I don't think he can mentally recover. I think he took the last loss really poorly. He's very delusional, in my opinion. And I think this is going to be the last fight of his career. Shout out to MMA Friction. Y'all make sure to head on over there. Give him a like. Give him a subscribe. Get my boy to 5,000. Get me to 300 if we can. But thank you guys for being here. I'll see you guys next time. Be smooth.